My name's Rich Harrington, and welcome to this edition of Understanding Adobe Photoshop. Today, we're going to tackle the Layers panel and the specific align and grouping and general organization options available to you. What I find is that many people blow past these features and then start to eyeball everything. Here's the simple truth. It's a computer. It's probably better at math and precise positioning than you are. On the other hand, you might be a designer or a photographer and you've got far better eyes than this box. So, not a big deal. We can go ahead and combine our desires with its abilities and get great end results. I've opened up a multi-layer document, and this is just for teaching purposes. This isn't great design, but it's some simple things to show you what's possible. So for example, here we have a left foot and a right foot. I can go ahead and click on one layer so it's active and shift click on another, and now they're both selected. If I grab the Move tool, we can actually move these around together. You'll also notice when you grab the Move tool that the Align features become available. So up top here we have the ability to align things using their different edges, top, center, or bottom, as well as the ability to align things horizontally. Sort of creating a Rorschach pattern there. Let's undo. But you see we've got those now perfectly aligned. And if I want to, I can actually combine these together. One way to combine them is to just press Command or Control G to make a group, and you see a folder appear. That folder is a group, and it used to be called a layer set. It makes it easy to keep things together. So now if you grab the group, you can actually move things around as you see fit, and they stay attached. Just as we aligned the individual contents within the group, we can also select the group in the background, and with the Move tool, choose to center these on the page. And pretty straightforward stuff. That's aligning, which works great. You need two or more objects in order to align. Now let's turn that off and go to our next objects here, and I'll just click once and drag straight up. That's a cool little shortcut with the Layers panel. If you click on a switch and you just drag up or down, the value you apply to the first switch is going to be applied to all the other layers. And that works great. It's going to save you from constantly having to click, 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 cutting down on the wear and tear in your body. Let's go ahead and select these layers here. I'm just going to click on the first one, hold down the Shift key and click on the last one, and it selects the entire range. What I want to do now is align these using their bottom edge. And you see that that's fine, but the issue here is that they are not evenly distributed. Notice how the image on the left is sitting off there and the image on the right is fine, but in between they're sort of bunched up together. Well, we can evenly distribute these across the range using the Distribute command. And to distribute an object, you're going to need 3 or more of them to work with. Let's go ahead, we've got that selected. I'll click Distribute here, and I'm going to distribute based upon the horizontal center, and you see that they are equally distant apart now. So if I measure the distance from this middle to this middle, it's going to be the same as from this middle to this middle, and so forth. Now, because the width of the objects are slightly different, you'll notice that the gap here between them appears a little bit different between. Technically speaking, these are distributed evenly, but if you want, you can always nudge them and combine the eyeball here. So I'm going to just select Fall and push that over with the left arrow a tad, and I'm happy with that. So that's where your good eye and the computer's mathematical abilities combine to create good results. Now let's go ahead and select those objects, and I want to combine them together. Earlier we used a group, Command G, that works absolutely fine. Another option is to actually just right-click and choose Convert to Smart Object. When you do that, they all get combined into a new layer, and I could rename that Seasons. And now it's treated as a single layer. We can go ahead and select the background there and align it to center, both vertically and horizontally. And if we need to, we can just go ahead and double-click on the Smart Objects icon there and actually step inside and modify things. So if we wanted to tweak the colors here of the layer style or maybe the stroke, we can do that. I could say make that stroke just a little lighter blue, and it updates in the document. Close, save, and you see it updates over here as well. So lots of flexibility. Using a smart object is just a step beyond a group. To the naked eye, it appears that the layer has been flattened and merged together, but in fact, you have the ability to easily update its contents. Let's go on to our next layer here. It's a key, and I want you to notice that we have some locks. Yes, I make jokes that are that bad. If we look at the top here, you see we have 4 different locks to choose from. The first one is going to lock the transparent pixels, and that means all the pixels outside of the image. The next one allows the ability to lock from painting on the image, or we can lock the position. The fourth lock icon locks all properties. So in this case, I have position and transparency locked. What this means is that we can paint on the image, but don't have to worry about staying inside the lines, and the image won't move on its position within the layer. So if we try to drag this here, notice it says it can't, it's locked. And that's a good way if you have a precise element like a logo or some text that you don't want it to shift on the page. With the layer selected, we can actually grab the paintbrush tool. Let's do right bracket for a bigger brush. And I could paint, and notice how it stays within the layer very easily. There we go. And that's because we've locked the transparency. There you have it. If I try to paint outside of the image, nothing happens. And that's because we've locked those transparent pixels. So if you've already extracted something, or you're working with text, or maybe a solid shape object, this works great to give you easy manipulation. Now, the last thing I want to show you is the idea of a clipping path. So in this case, we have an object and a texture. With a clipping path, you have the option to say, take this layer above and constrain it to fit inside of the layer below. Think of it as sort of a cookie cutter in reverse. In this case, we're putting the dough on top and the cookie cutter down below, and we push downward, making sure that the fill is contained inside the shape below it. So if I select this texture layer, I could say Layer, Create Clipping Mask, and it indents, and notice that it's applied to the object below. If I move the object below, the texture above is constrained to stay inside of it. And if I want those to stay together, we could just shift click so both are selected and click the link icon at the bottom of the layers panel, and now those are going to move together. As we move one, the other moves as well. So lots of flexibility when working with layers. And remember, if you're having a hard time seeing your layers, you can always come to the top of the layers panel, click the drop-down submenu, and go to Panel Options. This allows you to change the thumbnail size, making it easier to see what you're working with. If you have a lot of layers, choose a smaller thumbnail, and then you can see more in your layers panel. And remember, for organization purposes, take the time to do it right. Double-click on a layer, right on the text there, and you can change the name. If you Option or Alt double-click, you can change the name and actually assign a color. So, lots of great organization tools to keep things straight. As you start to get complex documents, it's easy to lose track of things, and if you've got layer 23 copy 2, that doesn't say nearly as much as ribbon or seasons. So, again, take the time to do it right. For Understanding Adobe Photoshop, my name's Rich Harrington.